Hey, Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, it's Joe Rockey coming back at you. Just a couple hours ago, the Steelers released Arthur Maulet. Today in this episode, we're going to break down what that means to the team, how this is so much more meaningful in terms of what this defense, particularly the secondary, is going to look like this year. And that's what we're going to break down in today's episode. But first, as I've been requesting desperately as I can, to any person in Steelers Nation out there, if you have any contact with any single person at any of the players' organizations or charities, please let me know who that is by sending it up to this little button right here. Because the month of June, I am hoping to talk to as many of these different charities as possible so we can see what it is that they are bringing to the community, the players' involvement, and to show that these guys are more than just guys who go out making plays on Sunday, and to show everything that they're doing for the team. So like I said, if you have anyone out there that you know of, please let me know, and the best way to do it is in that button right up there. So with this being said, Arthur Maulet gets cut. What does that mean to the Steelers? Well, let's back up. Maulet was our nickel corner last year, at least after Cam Sutton. And when Cam Sutton left, it left a huge vacated hole. So when we look at the cornerback room, it had basically been assumed that we're going to have the traditional outside guys and then slot guys. And we're going to keep the lines divided and keep you in your roles and responsibilities. And certainly there's some logic and the argument into doing that. You know, there is a much different skill set in press coverage and riding a guy into the sideline than there is being agility, moving on your feet left and right as you can in the slot. So they are different skill sets, and slot corner is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, position to play in all of the defense. It's right there with middle linebacker because there's so many different directions that the offense can manipulate you with, and it makes it incredibly difficult. But when we look at what Maulet's strength was, he was a great tackler, come up and put pressure upon you. That's what he did. Now, he was not very good in coverage. That's kind of a fact too. In fact, that we looked 2 years ago, whenever we had Joe Schobert on the team, Maulet played more middle linebacker than he did corner that year. And when you look at all those reports of the Steelers running exotic defenses because we had seven defensive backs on the field, it's really because Maulet was forced to play corner. He had that capability. But as we look at this roster right now, getting rid of Maulet says a lot to the Steelers' confidence in their depth in a lot of areas. First and foremost, it cements to me a belief that I've already long since held that Keanu O'Neal is on paper your second linebacker. And if not, he's your slot corner because he has all of those traits of being able to come up, hit hard, make the plays like Maulet did, but a much better ceiling and coverage ability that Maulet didn't really bring to the table. So therefore, the middle of the field need is diminished. So in addition to Keanu O'Neal being the ability to play in that middle of the field as he did the last 2 seasons, to me it is a sign that the Steelers have a belief that Holcomb from Washington is going to be able to step up and be better in coverage than he was last year. So Holcomb played essentially the entire season on a Washington team that could not cover to save their lives, and his numbers were representative of that as well. Horrible completion rate against, lots of yards after the catch, but they believe that in this system, Holcomb will be able to perform better. Also, we got in Roberts from Miami. Some people are speculating that Roberts are going to beat Holcomb out. To me, I see very similar skill sets based upon their prior destinations, but Roberts was hurt most of last year, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Nonetheless, getting rid without any compensation or real cause, because that's the other part. The timing to me is very indicative of cutting Arthur Maulet because there's no need to right now. You've already had the rosters expanded up to 90 men at this point in time. So to cut Arthur Maulet essentially is saying, we know you're not making the team no matter what, and we're essentially throwing you a solid by seeing if you can jump onto someone else's program, having the whole off season. This is part of the Steelers family permeating, being nice guys all the way around. But they would never have done that if there was a chance that he was going to be needed as a Steeler. So this is where I'm looking into, they believe in Roberts, they believe in Holcomb, they believe in Keanu O'Neal. All of these are important indicators of showing confidence. But to me, what it shows even higher is that they believe that one, if not multiple, of their outside corners, Wallace, Porter, Witherspoon, Pierre, at least one of that group, if not many of them, are going to be able to come into the corner, the slot corner role. And if you have that, again, Levi Wallace is a very above average defender when it comes to coverage. He's above good. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And if he is now your slot corner and or has the ability to move around the field, you have position versatility that this team hasn't had in the cornerback position in an incredibly long time. Because the Steelers under the LeBeau era did not believe in moving around with the best receiver on the field. You played left, you played right, that's life. But now, if you have all of these guys able to jump into the slot, jump to the outside, now it's just, Porter, who do you match up best against to take out of this game? Higgins, because you're both tall and lanky and don't cut very good? Porter, you got Higgins. Peterson, you're a Hall of Famer. Go take out Cincinnati's young Hall of Famer and Chase. Wherever they go on the field, you follow them, take them out. And it does not necessarily mean that you were playing man coverage upon that play. That's the other thing I need to stress. You can do press zone coverage, and it just basically says, I'm starting with you because you're the best matchup for us. And if the play evolves and it ends up becoming me shadowing you in man coverage, so be it. If it ends up being it's a zone and I'm waiting for the guy to trail across to me, well, then so be that too. The point being is that it opens up flexibility in the secondary in a way that Steelers have not had in basically my lifetime. And this is the telltale sign of that. Again, people are going to say, Joe, he was like the 45th man on the roster. I mean, it's Arthur Maulet. Like, why are you making a big deal of this? Why are you even making an episode out of this? Because the timing says a lot. It shows confidence in every single other one of those secondary people. And to me, I believe they're peeling back the curtain and saying they don't believe the Witherspoon is going to fail out of this league because of injury. And then they think that he has a much better chance of being closer to his Pro Bowl style and Pro Bowl results than to not be in the NFL. Because otherwise you never would have done this. The simple fact of the matter is that Arthur Maulet played a relevant position. Yes, they did bring in Chandon, Sullivan during the draft. But as I reported in that episode specifically on Sullivan, I'm not sure that he's an upgrade over Maulet. Sullivan is supposed to be a coverage type who does not bring the lumber, except for the fact that he's letting up over 70 completions when thrown at himself and has a quarterback rating over 102. Yes, Minnesota was one of these defenses, maybe the whole NFC, could not cover anyone in the pass. You know, Minnesota just, I mean, they got torched by Daniel Jones. That's really gross. That sentence came out of my face. So do we really think that the corner who got picked on in that game is going to be our long-term solution? Or would you rather have versatility out of 4 potentially elite, if not very good, outside corners being able to work inside and out? And sure, you might learn in the middle of the year that, say, Porter, for instance, can't handle an inside routes and he's getting picked on. Well, there's nothing wrong with saying, Porter, you're just going to cover the best one who sits outside, and we're going to let Wallace or Spoon come in and do it. Now, the reason that I believe that's a little bit of a harder fetch situation is last year when Wallace was on the team, Sutton was the one who moved. Rather than all of them moving, Sutton was moved. He certainly is capable of doing that. So in the offseason trainings, did Tomlin have these guys, Wallace, Pierre, or James Pierre, and obviously Witherspoon, learn how to play all the positions? I believe it's a strong yes, and that's the indication that this Arthur Maulet cutting today means. The amount of potential that this allows you to do in coverage schemes is off the charts. I cannot stress this enough in terms of the amount of ability to create confusion, the amount of flexibility that you have by having all of the players go around, and not to mention all of them be very good. It's mind-boggling. And I am so excited for what this coverage ability is. Because while I do still stand by, I think that we're going to be in a very hard game if we have to win a shootout against Cincinnati, Buffalo, or Kansas City. This coverage package gives you the possibility of saying, it ain't going to be a shootout. All right, Burrow, you got all these weapons. We're able to keep them contained. And it's really, how often have we ever had a positive story from someone getting cut before? This is a testament to how much depth Khan has given the Steelers. And in tomorrow's episode, I'm going to be diving into that concept a little bit deeper because there's a lot of hidden gems on this roster that a lot of Steelers Nation has just flat out forgot about it. And we're going to be covering them in tomorrow's episode. So here we go, Steelers. We'll see you guys tomorrow.